about CE5 and extraterrestrial contact, download my new book, now on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Apple, and 14 other platforms. Book authored by Donald Ledesma. CE5, Frequencies of Contact.
What's up, guys? This is Mike Beavers from The Theory, and you are listening to Alien Strand Podcast, the dopest UFO alien podcast out there. And if you want to find out about me, just go on YouTube and search UFOs over UFO or The Theory with Mike Beavers. Stay tuned, guys.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to this episode of Alien Strand Podcast. I'm your host, Donald Ledesma. And welcome just to today, man. You know, it's starting to get pretty hot down here in South Texas. You know, it is. It's like, my God, it's already close to like 85 freaking degrees. You know, I've lived down here in South Texas all my life. And, you know, I just never, it just seems like it's getting hotter and hotter, or I'm just getting older and older. You know how that goes. But the older we get, we start getting cold too, right? I haven't reached that stage yet, so don't even look at me like that. All right, guys. So welcome to Alien Strand Podcast. I'm glad you're here. You can hear us on 28, 29 platforms now. We're just growing, man, of audio podcasts, all right? You can catch us on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Spreaker live right now. This is only going to be to the end of this year to be live on Spreaker. So enjoy as much of this as you can as it's coming in live. Now, you guys that are driving out there, be safe as you're listening to the show tonight. I appreciate it. You know, keep your eyes in the sky. Pull over when it's safe to do so. Take your video and photos if you can. Okay, all right. And then submit those to, guess where? Alien Strand Disclosure Project, because that's where it needs to go to, right? So go to Alien Strand, ASDP-UFO.com. Go check it out, ASDP-UFO.com. That's where we go, man. And to go and, you know, report your UFOs. Talk to any of our representatives out there. You know, we got Daniela, South Carolina. We have Cindy Grisby in Missouri. I mean, we got David Aliff in North Carolina. You know, we have Marisol in Florida. We have people in Australia. That's Chris Hamill in Australia. Yes, it is. And then we also have just a bunch of people. Heather in Ireland. We talk to her daily. Thank you for being out there and being a ASDP representative. She does a really good job for ASDP there in Ireland, believe it or not. In the UK, we have Mr. Paul Wellburn. If you don't know him, he's all over our websites, and he's just, you know, we were just keeping him in our thoughts today, you know, and, you know, we just love him to death, and he's always spreading the word on Alien Strand Disclosure Project. Now, if you guys heard from the very beginning of this podcast, you heard the commercial of my book, CE5. Please go pick that up. It's on ebook, and you know, you can download it to your phone, right? Download the Kindle app or whatever it is, and you can actually read it there. Even Barnes & Noble has it too. So they have the ebook. Right? If you're listening in a different country, go look at your online bookstores. You'll see it there. It's going to say CE5 Frequencies of Contact. It's going to be a guy standing there looking up at a UFO. You can't miss it, man. I made it so that way you guys can find it simple. It's easy. It's an easy peasy read, man. It's about maybe 65, 70 pages. Depends. you can actually get a paperback on Barnes & Noble. So go to Barnes & Noble if you have one in your area or in your country. Go look there and you can actually get a paperback delivered to your house. Thank you very much. And I'm getting some paperbacks here that I'm going to have a whole box of, right? But what I'm going to do there is I am going to give those away with my signed signature on it. And this is a guidebook, so it's not very thick, it's not very big. It's a guidebook on CE5ing and how you CE5, and it shows you the frequencies and everything you have to do to try to get to try to make contact, right? Because that's what it is. You're trying to make contact with these extraterrestrials, right? And that's what we're trying to do here. So, I'm going to have these signed books, and I'll be giving these away. And believe me, if I see you sharing a lot of my stuff as far as like on my Facebook, you go to my Facebook page, and if I see you sharing a lot of times, and you have to be a U.S. resident, though. That's the only, okay, until I can get, it's very expensive to get anything mailed out of the country, right? So if we can, with my signed signature, on the book, I'll sign your name on it, and things like that. And we'll, that's my appreciation to you for sharing my CE5 book. And that's the one I want you to share, right? If it's has to be about my CE5 book. All right. And once I see the most shares on that, I'm going to present you with a free book with my signature on it and with a gift. There's going to be an extra gift in there for you as well in that package. So thank you guys for all the people that have already downloaded it and started reading it. It's just a guidebook. It's an informative book. Keep it in your glove compartment, man. Keep it. Any people that want to go CE5ing out there, that's the way to do it, and that's the way to go. I believe it has a lot of information in there as it can. And I've, people have left me reviews on Amazon. If you read it, you like it, give me a review there, man. And I really appreciate that. Even on Barnes & Noble, if you read it there, go check it out, give me a review. And that just helps the book get out to as many people as possible. Am I going to be a millionaire? No, that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get the information out to as many people as possible. That's why I got the book so cheap, man. It is cheap. It's like $3.99. Come on, man. That's like a bag of chips and maybe a fountain drink, right? Maybe. Depends where you live. All right, man. So what I want to talk about today is I'm going to have a special guest coming in tonight. I'm going to have a live podcast tonight on Spreaker here, so stick around for it. It's going to be 7 p.m. Central Time, and it's going to be, 5 o'clock Pacific Time if you're on that side, and then give yourself an extra hour if you're on the East Coast, right? So it'll be 8 o'clock on the East Coast. Anyway, so I'm going to be talking to Mr. Brian Tseng, right? And he's going to be giving you guys a lot of information on disclosure, right? He's going to be talking about, the Montauk, the Montauk tales that happened out there. A lot of survivors of that. He's got a conference coming up as well, in July 18th, I believe, through the 20th in Florida, right? Go check that out. I'm going to have a link to that conference on this podcast as well. So you can go check out the commercials, go check it out. And, if that's something that interests you, that you want to see, it's a 3-day event. So you can visit Mr. Brian Tseng and Nancy Timms and a bunch of people that are going to be speaking on this 3-day event. On the beach, come on. You can't beat that with a stick. There's going to be people out there. They're going to have UFO meetings at night outside, so you can go UFO watching. It's going to be all that good stuff. Dinners, dancing. Hey, what a great way to take your significant other, or even, it doesn't even have to be that, take somebody that's interested in ufology just like you are, right? Take them out there. Y'all buy some tickets, go check it out. It's going to be a great event. I'm going to try to make it there. Now, they're going to be showing my film. If you haven't seen the middle part 2, they will be showing the middle part 2 on this conference, which I'm very, very excited of, right? And we need to be excited to show this documentary to as many people as possible, right? And that's the best way to do it. Now, I just wanted, like I said, give you guys some information on what's happening tonight with Mr. Brian Tseng. We're going to bring him in tonight, 7 p.m. Catch it live, man. Don't miss it. Don't miss it, because we We're trying to get as much information on disclosure as possible. Why? Why do you think that is? Because it's always Big Brother, man. They're always trying to hide stuff and just keep a lot of stuff away from us, which it does not make any sense to me. Why that is and why that's happening that way, we see these things every single day in the skies, man. You see them all over your Facebook, and I know some of it's CGI. Don't get me wrong. I know what looks real, what sometimes, it's if it's too good to be true, then whatever. But you can still research and study a lot of these videos and photos that are out there, right, on the web, the World Wide Web. That's why you have that www, if you didn't know, World Wide Web. Yeah. So you have to use that in order to, do your research. And just remember, a lot of that information that you are getting out of for ufology or anything like that on Wikipedia, anything like that, just remember, it even tells you at the very beginning of Wikipedia or anything like that, that information is subject to change, and it can change at any time. So it's not defined like it is in a book, right? Written in stone like they did before the internet came out, right? And yes, I lived through that without having internet. I was privileged enough not to have a computer and a cell phone, and I got to experience life as a kid, jumping and riding bicycles and just enjoying life until all this technology came into effect, which it did, and everything changed from there. But it doesn't mean that it's a bad thing. It just means that, you can try to get out and try to do more research as much as possible, right? And that's what we want you to do. Don't just use one avenue and that's your answer. Me personally, I go to at least 3 or 4, and then whichever 2 or 3 that have the story that's as close as it can be without having to add extra people or different names in it, then those are the stories you want to go to, because that's closer to the truth. And once they start changing and adding things in there, it starts making a whole mess, right? It's like sloppy spaghetti, man. It's not pretty when it comes to the plate, but after you mix it all up, it turns into slop, and you start adding all that cheese and all, you know what I mean, right? So that's exactly what happens, right? So just kind of remember that when you do your research, find different avenues of that, right? And lately, like I said, on the news and everything we've been watching lately, we've been kind of keeping a close eye of what's been going on in the skies, in the government part, and also with whistleblowers. And that's what we're going to talk about tonight, right? With Brian, because he knows these whistleblowers, and they're going to be part of that conference, right? And they're going to, tell you a lot of information that you didn't know, or maybe there was some stories you just wanted to have a little extra, right? And that's why he's having this conference. It's huge. It's not little. There's over like 30 people that are going to be speaking. That's why it's 3 days, right? So just remember that disclosure conference is going to be one of the major ones out there that's going to give a lot of light to this darkness that we always see as far as not having enough information. And that's what these conferences are for to get this information out to as many people as possible, right? Without having to go through the avenues through the news, because the news is going to filter out all this stuff. It's all filtered. It's all their narrative anyway. So don't even look at the news as far as like regular TV news for your UFO information, right? It's not happening. That is not happening that way. So just remember, you have to dig for it. You have to go to podcasts. I don't care if it's this one. I don't care if it's any other ones. Try to get as much information as possible. If you're into ufology, you want to learn. That's what it is, right? And that's what we're trying to do here at Alien Strand and Alien Strand Disclosure Project, right? So just remember that. I hope you really enjoyed the last few podcasts that I did on the stories of these, extraterrestrial landings of the past, right? 1950s and stuff like that. I love those old stories because they get to get a lot of information to you, and then you get to put those together as far as the extraterrestrial, the interactions with these things, and as much as possible. Now, I am writing a new book, and this new book is going to give you a lot of information. It's not going to be a guidebook. It's going to be more informative of what I've been researching for the past, years and years, especially the last 5 or 6, because I've been interviewing so many people that have had these interactions with these extraterrestrials in a conscious and a subconscious level, right? And when I do keep up with them daily, right, or sometimes weekly, a lot of people, man. I'm talking over 100. I get phone calls once a week now of people that just call me, and and I'm listening to them and listening to their stories, and it's hard for them. It's hard for them to tell these stories because, like I talked about before, the stigmas. People don't want to hear it. And then I spoke before, and I told you guys, be careful who you go out and seeking the truth from, right? I mean, looking for help, because a lot of these people are going to look at you like you're crazy, right? Like you lost you fell off your rocker, right? Because you're telling a story about an extraterrestrial that stood in front of you, beamed you on his ship. As soon as you say that, I was on the ship. Then we're going to have a Independence Day with Mr. Randy Quaid. If you remember that movie, Independence Day, when he was talking about it, they thought he was nuts, right? And it was the stigmas that come along with it. But those people that stigmatize you like that, should not be approached. As far as if you feel like you need to talk to somebody, call me or call, anybody as far as the Alien Strand Disclosure Project. We will work with you, right? And we will listen to you. We'll try to help you as much as possible, right? Even just talking to somebody helps, because these stories of these extraterrestrial interactions are very disturbing. They are disturbing, and it can really mess with your psyche, right? And really put you in a different level if you really think about it. So how do we go past that? Well, it's a long journey, man. It's a freaking long journey for these people. And this new book that I'm writing, will be out probably in about a month and a half from now. But it's going to be a little lengthy one. But I'm going to be telling these people's stories that you don't hear about, right? You're going to hear their personal stories and exactly what they went through and what the feelings that they were feeling and everything that was happening in between. So you're going to hear everything, not just from my films, but you only see small parts of these films. Now, when I interview these folks, there's 2 hours of recording there. You only get about a total, maybe 8 to 10 minutes of those 2 hours. Okay? So that just kind of lets you know how much I hear and what everything they told me, and everything that's been recorded, right? I just want you to know that even any other documentaries that you watch out there, if you're watching these interviews, there's a lot of these videographers, people that are making these documentaries have a lot of information, right, that you don't get to see. But that's what this new book is going to be about, right? And it's going to be told in the way I tell these stories, right? If you like my storytelling, well, then you're going to enjoy this book as it comes out, right? And I'm going to make sure it's friendly enough for everybody to understand and just kind of, share with other people as well. Because if you're intrigued in ufology, well, there's other things that come with ufology. Something is driving these UFOs. When I was a kid, when I first saw this stuff at 14 years old, all I was interested was in the UFO itself, right? In the craft. That's it. How is it working? Where did it come from? I wanted to see different looking ones. Never in my mind never did it cross my mind that there's a pilot inside of this thing, inside of the ship, right? And I never thought of what this pilot would look like, or I just never thought about it, right? I was just so infused with just being intrigued of this UFO, this craft. How did it work? What does it look like? I wish I could touch one, right? These are the things that were going through my mind as I've seen these throughout the years of my life, right? And not just because, a lot of people will say out there, when you try to, let's just say, I'm going to give an example, right? It's like seeing a therapist, a child psychology therapist, and they're telling you everything there is about child psychology, but they don't have no children, right? And that's kind of hard, right? For somebody to tell you how to raise your kids and they don't have no kids, right? In a sense, to where in ufology, just because I haven't witnessed a extraterrestrial standing in front of me doesn't mean that I am not connected. I'm connected because I've seen these things multiple times. And usually you would only see these things maybe once in a lifetime, right? I've seen these things in multiple times in my life. And it seems to me like there's some sort of a connection there, right? The connection that I understand that extraterrestrial life and the universe are connected, but it's also connected with me, right? And it's connected with you and people that are out there that are interested in ufology, right? So we have to look at that big picture, right, if you will, and just know that if you see these things in multiple locations and different places in different time frames in your life, well, then maybe these things are connected with you, right? Just remember that. And I might not have the answers to everything, but I've talked to as many people as possible to try to get the right answers, because not every answer is going to be right in fixing the issue as far as the PTSD, the trauma that comes along with it. But we need to understand what triggered the PTSD, what triggered the trauma. It just doesn't happen by itself, right? So something in their lives triggered this, and it was by a visual sighting or an approachable sighting of an extraterrestrial or extraterrestrial craft, right? And some of these people didn't want this. It just kept on happening to them, or just happened to them, right? It's like they were chosen, in a sense. So next time you talk to somebody and they say, you know what, I see a UFO a lot, or I think I experienced something, right? Or I think they took me. Don't giggle and laugh at them, because this is something that's bothering them in the back of their mind, and they're afraid to tell you or afraid to tell anybody. So don't laugh. Sit there and listen to the story, because you never know, it might be a bigger picture. And you'll help them understand exactly what they're seeing or what they witnessed, right? Even if it's not an extraterrestrial to you, or maybe it was just something else, right? Because remember, extraterrestrials and paranormal are within the same realm. I know this. Too many similarities, exactly the same, for them not to be within the same realm, right? So, just remember that. I know I rambled a little bit about this, but I wanted to get some more information out to you guys about extraterrestrials and my knowledge of it, man, because I've been doing this for a long time. And I'm glad you guys are sitting there listening to me live. That's because you're interested in this, right? You're interested in ufology. You're interested in extraterrestrials. And keep going forward if you are. There's nothing wrong with that, right? Keep an open mind. That's what keeps you going. And always listen to Alien Strand Podcast, because that's what it's about. I'm here to give you the information that you deserve, right? Because you want to know it, I'm giving it to you, right? You can catch us on 26, 28 platforms, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, CastBox, Podbean, all those big ones, anyone you can think of, iPhone, apps. You can find us everywhere, right? You can even ask Alexa. She'll play you some Alien Strand Podcast, and get caught up to date. Now, don't forget tonight, 7 p.m. Central Time, 5 p.m. Pacific time. I'll be talking to Mr. Brian Tseng, and we'll be talking a little bit about disclosure, his conference, and everything he knows about the underworld. Yeah, because that's what it's about, right? He's going to tell us a lot of good things that I'm sure you want to find out. But until then, you guys have yourselves a good day. Have yourselves a good evening. And have yourselves a good night. And we'll see you tonight.
About CE5, an extraterrestrial contact. Download my new book, now on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Apple, and 14 other platforms. Book authored by Donald Ledesma. CE5, Frequencies of Contact.